Hello and welcome to Big Green Roofs. We're doing a workshop today online as part of the Big Green Architecture Draw. My name's Katie Kennedy. I'm leading the workshop today. So the workshop today is all about junk modelling. We're going to be using recycled materials to create a building, and from that building we are going to create a green roof on top, hence the name Big Green Roofs. The green roof will be made from cress, which we will grow. It's something that maybe you could do over some time. You could make the building today, add some decorations slowly over time, and then add the cress and watch it grow over the next 3 or 4 days. So the idea is, aside from the cress, which you will need to buy if you want to do your big green roof, you'll need some recycled materials. So I just had to dig around in my recycling to see what might be suitable, and I found some different things. So we've got a box, another box, some milk bottle lids, which are really handy and great for growing cress in, as well as adding some interesting shapes and textures to a building that you might design. What else have I got? I've got some yogurt pots, some random poster tubes ending. I've got a hummus pot or a dip pot. And what else have I got? Oh, a lid from some fabric conditioner. Just random bits of plastic that you might have from various things. I found some foam from a parcel. Thought this might be quite nice. You never know what you could do with it. Some texture for a landscapey thing, whatever you want. So those are the recycled materials. Oh, and another box. Boxes are always good. Obviously you might want to add some detail or some different things to a box for your design, but as a good starting point, you can't go wrong with a box. So you could just go with the plain recycling. You don't have to decorate your building, but for me, it's the fun bit is decorating. So I found some bits of shiny paper, just cut off from something else I was doing. Some funky foam. What else did I find? Oh, some crafty bits, like lolly sticks we said earlier. Maybe some craft tape, some washi tape, or some nice coloured tape that you could use to decorate. Electric tape, it's always nice, big, bold colours. Quite handy for adding some detail. So those are decorating aspects, but you'll also need some things to attach and cut things up. So I've got some scissors, always handy. Some of the things like the hummus pot, you might need a knife to cut. Again, if you're a young person, you might need to ask an adult for some help. So be careful with a craft knife if you are going to use one. Ask someone for help. I've got some double-sided tape, which is just really useful for sticking plastic together. Again, not essential, but if you've got it around the house, you never know. Some sellotape, glue stick, and just, yeah, other random bits. So the other thing to create our green roof, we're going to need some cotton wool. The cotton wool serves as a bed for the cress seeds to sit on and grow. So there's the cotton wool. You could have, I've got cotton wool pads, you could have cotton wool balls, whatever you've got. If you've got some stuff in the house, you could probably use wet kitchen roll as well. You'd have to double check that, but something like that would be good to put your cress seeds on. And then some cress. Perhaps you've got a building that you love, that you might be inspired by, that you see around, or a famous iconic building that you know from a city skyline, and you might think, oh, it might be fun to create a model of that and then add a green roof on top so we can see the shard with some cress growing on top or something similar like that. That might be fun. So that's one idea. Or you might want to design a beautiful house, something like you might see on Grand Designs or something like that. A modern house with a roof made from succulents, or in our case cress. So think about how you want your building to look. Another great way to start thinking of ideas is thinking about the things that you have in front of you. So for me, I had the box. Perhaps I use this big box as my starting point, and then I'll add some interesting elements to it. So your interesting elements could be your decoration, it could be your funky paper, your funky foam, whatever you want to stick onto it, or it could be the shapes that you stick onto it, or it could be something really simple like just putting a bit of white paper over the top and using some colouring pens, some pencils, and adding to it that way. So you could just simply decorate it with your own drawings and give it some texture in that way. So I'm probably going to use that as a starting point. Now, because we are adding a green roof, we need to think about where our green roof is going to sit as well. So make sure, if you are going to do something crazy or interesting and dynamic, make sure that you've got a space that's flat for your seeds to sit on. So perhaps avoid something with a sharp angle, or something you want the seeds to go on the side. That's probably not going to work. So you want to think about having a flat surface that you can use like that. Also, to bear in mind, you'll need to water the seeds. So if your elements for your green roof buildings are made of paper, perhaps if I was to use this and put the seeds on top of this, it would get soggy, it wouldn't work so well. Hence, milk bottle lids, top tip, are really great for growing cress in. So that's a good starting point. So maybe I'll start with a box like this and add some elements onto it, and then maybe add another box or two to the side, or maybe going up like this, or maybe cantilever to the side. It's up to you completely. And then maybe I'll have a yogurt pot somewhere, or maybe the hummus dip pot there, so I can grow some cress in there, some cress in there, maybe some cress around. So I'm using my recycling as the basis of my design, and then you can always adapt and cut and change the shape as how you want it. So we've got the initial box, and maybe we'll have another box here, maybe with a yogurt pot on top, and then maybe a smaller box here again. So I'm thinking about the different shapes of what we could use. So, and then I'll add some decoration. So I'm going to potentially grow some cress here, and maybe have some milk bottle lids here, and maybe the hummus pot here. And then these are all my spaces for my cress to grow. And then add some dynamic, exciting decoration on there. So that's my basic design. And obviously this is really simple, straightforward, cutting and sticking activity that anyone can get involved with. It's really fun for anyone to do. I've also actually, a good, nice way to do some simple, effective, quick decoration is get some images out of a magazine perhaps, and collage. They could be architectural images. I found some interesting ones, which you could use to collage onto the side of your building and just give it a different feel. Or you could have both. You could do whatever you want. So I'm just going to cut this one out. We'll measure that up. Cut it out. Add some decoration. Get rid of that. And then I'll just use glue to add on. So there we go. Stick that on, and that's the beginning of my building. And then maybe on this side I've got some foam, or maybe add some foam onto there, maybe use a bit of tape, and then some more tape at the bottom. On this side I think maybe I'll choose some plain paper. And again, maybe some foam at the top for the crest to sit on. And then maybe some shiny paper on the side. So we have the basis of one of our buildings. that's one. I've done one earlier. I've added some more interesting shapes on. I've done a rainbow design on one side. And the shiny paper on this side. And I've added my milk bottle lids here. I've just used some double-sided tape to stick these on so they stay in place and they'll keep the water in nicely. So that's one of my buildings. And then maybe we'll use one of these boxes again, maybe cover them in some shiny paper, maybe use some nice tape. Got some nice bright red electrical tape, and then maybe use a yogurt pot at the top. So for this yogurt pot I've got these strips of silver card which I've cut out for something else, and actually they wrap really nicely around the yogurt pot. So I'll just take that down, and that can maybe sit on top like that. It's a great thing for the cress to grow, and so our building is beginning to take shape. There's one I made earlier, and they'll go together really nicely. I've used the magazine to collage onto this one just to give it a bit of a different depth. And then for the final one, I'm going to use the hummus pot. So I could use it on another box, potentially like that. That's probably quite deep though, so I'm going to cut that down a little bit. So the cress has got a bit of a less space to grow into. Maybe that will sit that way. And I've done one earlier again to match. So we have our junk modelling buildings ready to go, ready to receive the cress seeds. So I'll just put them up like that for now. So like I said earlier, the main thing is to remember the plastic to retain the water. Now I've got these cotton wool pads. So for the smaller ones I've cut one to size. You might want to cut it more exact, like so. And then just place it. You don't need, you know, you just need a thin layer. You don't need loads. There's loads of stuff online about this if you want to have a look as well. And I'm sure lots of people have made eggy cress heads when you use an empty eggshell. Put a ball of cotton wool in and then sprinkle some cress seeds, add a face or some googly eyes, and then leave the eggy cress man to grow. So obviously on a similar vibe. This one's quite large. I'm just going to put the whole cotton wool pad in there. And then for the yogurt pot, because it's deep, I'm just going to fluff out a bit more cotton wool. Just give it a bit more depth, and then stick it in like this, like you would do in the egg. You could always use an egg for your building. That might be nice. So from the top you can't really see the building, but this is, as I turn them to the side, you can't notice the cotton wool in there at all, so I'll just put that back. And then the next stage is to add your cress seeds. So like I said, I had the cress seeds from online, easy to find. And they come, you actually get loads and loads of seeds. So, I mean, if you really like eating cress, it's great. You won't need very many at all. When I first did my example, I was a bit crazy with the seeds, so I added a bit too many. I'll show you. Those were my first attempts, and I am not a good gardener by any means. And there were just too many of them, so they didn't grow. So they were too densely packed. So there's a tip, don't put too many in. I mean, they just need space for the actual seeds to expand in order to grow, and also to get some water. That's probably enough. you want to get the kind of effect where you know, it looks like a mini forest growing on top of your roof, then that's probably enough again. I'll just put a few in there and in this one. So the cress seeds are added. And then you need to water. So I found, as a bit of a novice cress grower, that you need to water it every day really. And then you should see some results probably in 2 or 3 days. The seeds come up really nicely. And I have some from an earlier one I did before. And there we have our big green roof building. Maybe just show this one. It looks lovely. You can put it on your windowsill, you can grow some cress, you can use up your recycling, have fun, decorate for as long or as little as you want, design, learn about green roof buildings. There's so much to learn about them, they're pretty amazing things. And then the best thing of all is that you get to eat them. You can have your cress for lunch in about a week. That's our big green roofs. Now, we'd love to see your photos. If you would like to share online using the hashtag #BigGreenArchitectureDraw. We'd love to see your pictures. Maybe in the next few days, once you've done your building, added your cress seeds, starting to see them grow, even if they're just starting to grow, I'd love to see those photos as well. Yeah, add them onto social media. There's lots of information on the Big Draw website where you can find those hashtags, and add it to Instagram or Twitter.